You are listening to Heart Over Ego Radio. We are a network of shows with a lineup that's sure to raise your vibrations and guide you into your best life. Tune in on Sundays to Everyday Psychic Radio. On Mondays, it's the Alchemy Sisters. Tuesdays, it's Radical Spirituality. On Wednesdays, it's All for One is Love. And on Fridays, take a listen to Rain Radio. Amazing shows produced just for you 5 days a week, only on Blog Talk Radio. This is a Heart Over Ego Radio production.
Hi, and welcome to Rain Radio, where we have juicy conversations that lead to powerful transformation. We are your hosts. I'm Lila Sage.
And I'm Naomi Calderon. And today we're in for a treat. We are going to be interviewing the amazing Lila Sage, healer, coach, and all-around badass. So, grab your drink, put on your crown, grab your journal, and let's chat. So, we're doing a little something fun today. We're going to start interviewing guests, and we thought, what better way to start and kick this off than giving you a peek, a little deeper peek at who we are. So today we're going to chat with Lila. But first, what are you drinking?
Cough drops.
That's
a beverage.
All right.
That could go so many ways, but literally I have a cough drop happening right now because I am recovering from strep, as only you know, and now the rest of the world knows too. And the postnasal drip is a party.
Oh, yeah.
So cough drop.
Yeah, having just gotten over that, I swear I went through more Kleenex and more cough drops in a month than I've gone through in the last 5 years. I still get it, and I'm sorry you're there, because, yeah.
Thank you.
Cough drop is not my favorite breakfast flavor.
I had oatmeal before the cough drop, but yeah, cough drop.
Yeah.
What's in your cup? There's going to be water in my cup here shortly.
That's what's in my cup right now is water. I need to hydrate. So I'm drinking some water right now.
Perfect.
Slightly blind, but absolutely
I
healthy.
had something more exciting earlier. I had a matcha latte. Because it's Wednesday.
And is Wednesday Matcha Latte Wednesday?
It's Matcha Latte Monday and Matcha Latte Wednesday. It's how I roll.
Sweet. Awesome. So for the interview, I have some questions for you, but I think before that, it would be really awesome to just tell people a little bit about you and a little bit about your backstory.
Oh my goodness. I was not prepared. How have you known me for 5 years and don't know that is the weirdest question for me? People are like, tell me about you. And I'm like, what do you want to know? I love talking about myself so much. Where do I start? I'm not exaggerating. I'm very serious. So can we narrow this down to like a field?
Sure. Pretend I meet you at a networking event, and I say to you, who are you? What do you do? What are you going to tell me?
Oh, my gosh. Naomi. I am a healing artist, and I hate being told what to do. So I started out on a mission to partner with other people who hate being told what to do and structure their lives so that they are in charge of their lives. Your feelings are not in charge. Your childhood crap is not in charge. Society's dictates are not in charge. You are in charge.
Awesome.
I'm also a super mom.
Thank you.
And I'm nerdy, and I like to read.
So when you have downtime, say you have all day to do nothing, because that happens a lot for moms, right?
Right. Totally.
Making stuff up. What kind of book are you going to grab?
Oh, it depends. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun times. My bookcase is full of, Naomi and I are doing a marketing exercise right now, and one of the questions was, what's on your bookcase? And I'm like, personal development books. I have a lot of law of attraction books. I have a lot of books about money. I have books on sex magic, which amuses me deeply because I have no idea what that is. But I have books on it. And when my brain is like glitching because it cannot possibly process anything else, I read epic fantasy novels and contemporary romance novels. Contemporary romance, if you are a millennial, you're probably going to be like, what? But if you're a little older than that, then you'll get this reference. Contemporary romance is like HBO in the 90s. Like, you know nothing, you see nothing, but you understand that something happened. It's that.
That's funny.
It's like a rom-com in a book.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I think even millennials will get that, right?
Yes.
And those of us who didn't have HBO in the 90s but know exactly what you meant.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't have it either, but let me tell you, I found some to watch somewhere.
Right? That's funny. So, you said you're a healing artist. For those people who don't know what that means and who maybe aren't yet familiar with you, but they will be, tell us what does that mean, a healing artist? You paint pictures?
I made
it
up.
An art major, that's what I think.
I made it up to encompass everything that I do. So, if you think a life coach, then you would be on the right path. And then if you think a Reiki healer, then you would be in the right neighborhood. And then if you add a bunch of other healing modalities into the cauldron and stir, then you get healing artist. And I made it up because I didn't want to go, I'm a master Reiki person, because I am, and I practice with essential oils, and I had an energy healing modality that I was born with. So even before I knew what Reiki was, I was doing this thing with my hands, and it felt weird, and it was interesting. And since then, I have gained a few more modalities. It's been like 24 years.
And for those who aren't familiar with it, Access Bars is one of those, and it's really, really cool. Just saying.
All things access floats my boat.
Right? Right? Love it. So, bottom line is, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, you can help people heal from their shite.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
If it hurts, I can help.
I like that. If it hurts, I can help.
I like that too.
Say that one more time. Sorry.
I said I like that too. I should write it down.
Yeah, right?
This is why I talk to you.
Luckily, it is now being recorded, and you can always go back and re-listen, just like our listeners. So, healing artist, what is healthy to you?
My brain short-circuited because that was not what I was expecting.
You know I like to
healthy to me is healthy to me is a different connotation than what it means to heal.
So give us both.
So healthy is a state of no pain.
Okay.
So healthy relates with pain of like, okay, so there was pain and now there isn't pain. But healing I look at as a restoration. So rather than looking at the pain, because we can look at the pain, but we don't always have to look at the pain. We're more looking at peeling off the layers of what isn't true and getting to the essence and the truth. Because you can not necessarily be in actual pain and not be at the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can work a job that's okay, that pays your bills, but it's not exactly the truth of who you are. So it's not, like the book that I just finished, it's really funny. It was a contemporary romance, but the relationship was like secondary to the thing that excited me most about the book. She loved her job. So someone who just feels meh about their job and would like to love their job, we would do healing work. Not because they're in pain in the job that they're in or in the position in their job that they're in, but just because it's not true to who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if there's pain, we work on that too, obviously.
Right. Hmm.
Did you just learn something new?
I kind of did. It just has my brain sifting through all that. So, and speaking of what you do to help people heal, I know that's not what you studied in school.
Kind of did actually. Interestingly, so I started down this path because I didn't want to be my family.
Mm-hmm.
My family is essentially filled with functional alcoholics. Everybody went to work every day. Everybody paid their bills, and everybody managed their emotions with alcohol.
One way to do it, I guess.
My mom also managed her emotions with dysfunctional relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time my mom was 19 years old, she was a single mom of 2. Both dudes cheated on her while she was pregnant. My hypothesis when I was 12 years old was, I think it might be you, Mom. I don't think these 2 random guys conspired to knock you up and then cheat on you. And she broke up with him. Yay, Mom. But she left this planet in relationship with somebody who had lied to her in the beginning of their relationship about his relationship status. So she found out that he was married after she uprooted her life and moved us across state. And his wife showed up at the door one day. Like, hey, how's it going?
Cringed.
So when I was 12 years old, I decided that would not be my life. I was going to heal whatever was required so that I didn't have to repeat lessons with different dudes.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do all of relationship school with one person, if required.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed up 2 short years later. It was exciting. Fun time. A little bit of sarcasm. For those who don't get my dry sense of humor.
Right. Opposite day. So.
Did that answer your original question? I tumbled down a rabbit hole. Okay.
What?
Ask me again.
Because I know in one of the past jobs you've had, you were a librarian.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
What did you study in school?
I went to school to get I started school for my PhD in psychiatry because I wanted to change the field.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 minutes in, I discovered life coaching, decided I did not need a PhD in psychiatry, and then pivoted. So honestly, I have enough psych credits to have a master's in psychology because I took classes forever because it was free, but I never concentrated it all into a degree. So I have an Associate of Art.
Associate of Art.
A liberal art. Yeah, a liberal art.
And you worked as a librarian. And you have taught classes.
Administrative work. I've done public speaking. I've done administrative work. I was the youth education director for a Unity church for 18 months. What?
And
I waitress.
Most of us, when we turn around or depending on how you relate to time, past, present, and future, maybe you're looking to your left, but look behind us, look to your left, whatever. Look at your past. Often you can see how the parts and pieces come together. Oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why I had that job. Oh, that's why that boss was the boss I had. Whatever it is. So when you look at all of those career paths, those different jobs you've held at different times, and you see them converge and come together to support what you're doing today, what do you take from that path that got you here? What stands out?
Gosh, lots of things are showing up. I was exactly where I was supposed to be when I was there, doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing. Some of it was sheer, I'm going to say survival, but not exactly survival. Some of it was children need diapers, so I'm going to do this. I mean, I am who I am every place that I am. So when I was waitressing, I was also probably coaching customers and doing healing arts work at work. Because I am who I am everywhere I go. If I am in the grocery store and you tell me you have a headache, I'm probably going to give you some peppermint oil to sniff. Wherever I go, there I am. And so when I was the youth education director of my church, I loved my church. And it was perfect for me at the time. It was an extra $400 a month to hang out with some people that I loved and be nerdy about organization. When I was a librarian, it was the answer to the prayer, I want to be accessible to my babies, and I want to pay all of my bills out of 1 month's paycheck. And I want to like my job. The universe delivered me the job at the library.
And I know you had some people there that you enjoyed hanging with and working with.
Yeah, I loved 90% of that job.
So I also hear that people is the common thread, too.
Yes. I have not yet had a people-less job.
Trying to picture what that would look like.
Accountant,
one of the
maybe,
things
CPA?
But they still got people because they got clients, right? But most of their daily tasks are probably by themselves in front of calculators and computers and such, and that thus ends the knowledge I have of what CPAs do. One of the things you said is through all of it, you were just you, really. And so when you are being fully and completely you, what does that look like? What does it feel like? How do you most show up as you?
There are lots of giggles. That one doesn't have a concrete answer. Because when I think that question, all I get is space.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely a nurturer. I love to love people, which is hilarious because I frequently threaten to run away from home and live in a tiny house down by the river. But I know I would miss the people that I live with, and I would want to hang out with them from time to time. So I like Lisa's explanation better. She called herself an extroverted hermit. And I was like, I've never heard a better description of myself. I love people. I would like you to come to me at my house. And then around 7 p.m., I would like you to leave because I like to go to bed around 9. So I guess what I meant when I said I am me wherever I go is I'm always going to be nurturing and nourishing and offering healing. So if you tell me something hurts and I don't have a solution in mind for it, I'm going to send you to Naomi or Lisa, or I know a book, or fill in the blank.
You got something in your pocket, some kind of resource in your back pocket.
And it's going to be really important to me that you know that it's available. Like, I do not want you to hurt in any capacity ever. Unless you're making muscle. I guess that pain is okay.
So, playing devil's advocate here, what if it's somebody's path to experience that pain?
I learned the hard way not to take people out of their journey.
Beautiful. Say more about that.
Yeah. God told me one day to stop rescuing people. Like, it was very much that clear. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, if I must. I think the circumstance was someone said that they were hungry. And so I asked what they wanted from a specific restaurant because I was going to order it and have it delivered to them because I didn't have a car, but I had a little bit of cash. And they vehemently said no. And I said, okay, that's fine. And then that was when I heard, like, stop trying to rescue people. And I said, okay. I didn't really mean it, but I said, okay. And then later, I was shown that exact person is someone who takes advantage of people, which was interesting because they were enthusiastically rejecting my offer to feed them lunch that day. And the other part of that was sometimes people need to experience their pain. And in addition to that, this is my own add-on for, like, later on I learned this too. Sometimes that pain is karma. And so we never know why someone's in the experience that we're in. We can always be loving and compassionate and generous, but sometimes people need to experience their pain. And I went, okay. It was around the time I decided to...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go.
I said it's around the time I decided to graduate from being hard-headed. I'm still, I still have some classes in hard-headedness left, but...
I'm going to let you in on a little secret.
Yes.
You got 2 legs. That will probably always be a thing, because I think that's part of the human condition.
Probably.
I think we all have it, just to varying degrees, right? or depending on the circumstance. So yay, welcome to the human race.
It's weird here, but thank you.
Right? It certainly can be. Woo! And I think it's one thing if people are asking for help in healing. They're wanting to heal and they need guidance. They're wanting to heal and they need a hand. And they're asking for that guidance. Very different from my half-side always likes to make a differentiation between being a caretaker versus a caregiver.
Mm.
Because somebody who's caretaking all the time, which is kind of what it sounds like you might have been doing, is that there's that energy of rescuing.
Yep.
Big difference. Huge lesson. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of us who are in the coaching field, I like to think eventually we all learn it or we leave the field. I like to think that anyway. We just learn it at different times, at different rates, in different ways. But it's an important one. And I have to say, having experienced you in a lot of different ways, I've experienced working with you, receiving healing from you. I've worked with you in doing timeline with you, for you, been in groups together with you, obviously co-hosting this podcast together. I've seen you in various arenas in different ways, and I so admire the way that you approach people because sometimes we all got to vent some shit, okay, because life happens, right? And in our field, especially if we're comfortable with someone, it can be really easy to just dive in and start giving feedback and offering suggestions and support. And I do find that I do that sometimes. And Lila is masterful, for those of you listening. She already knows this, but you guys might not. She's masterful at stepping back and really just letting people have that moment. And then asking if they're looking for feedback or asking them what it is they need rather than just diving in with some kind of solution. So you may have said okay at first but not quite have learned it yet then, but you have learned it and model it beautifully.
Thank you. That's a lot easier for me because I have had people with poor boundaries with their gifts. And what I mean by that is, okay, so I'm clairaudient, which means for those who are like clairvoyant, I hear from heaven, and it sounds like my voice in my head, but I know it's not my thoughts. And sometimes it's God, and sometimes it's guides, and sometimes it's your ancestors. But what I know is not everything I hear is for me to share with you. And I have had friends with psychic superpowers not know that, not understand that. Just because you see it doesn't mean you need to tell me. See it, hear it, receive it, whatever. And so being on the receiving end of psychic gift vomit, I learned not to be that person. Like, let me develop some boundaries.
Yeah. I probably could still use a little bit of that.
I'm still working on it. I am not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Another reason that I'm really good at it is because I have a personal philosophy where I never tell people to end their relationship. So
yeah, that never goes well.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes people are like, I know, right? He's such an asshole. She's such a whatever. I'm out of here. Whether or not
and then
they
2 weeks
actually
later
leave,
they're back with them, and then you're on the hook for
and you're
what
all
rude
awkward,
things you said. Yeah.
Yeah, I usually stand behind what I say. If I told you to leave, I'm just like, well, I told you 4 months ago, but you didn't listen. So, and I'm usually a little kinder than that when I say it, but I still stand behind, that person's still a jerk. That person's still an asshole. But it's a lot easier to be in the space of compassion and let whoever is asking for support, stand in whatever they need to stand in, when I know that I'm never going to give the advice that you should end a relationship. Even when people call me, I have a friend who likes to want to be divorced from her husband, and whenever she gets into that space, I'm the person she calls. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. And my response is always the same, and it is, I'm never going to tell you to get divorced. I'm just never going to do it. I'm going to tell you to heal whatever you need to heal so that this isn't a question for you. But I'm never going to tell you to get divorced. I can tell you what I see might need to be healed, but I'm never going to say, end your relationship.
I like it.
Yeah. So when people are like, my enjoyable other is not so enjoyable right now, what do? I always point it back to them, because you can leave that relationship, and what will happen is you'll be dating Fred, and 3 years in, you'll be like, you're just like Joe. Well, yeah, because it's still you. If you are still the magnet for that behavior or that experience. Mm-hmm. So until you deactivate that magnet within yourself, you're still going to call that into your experience. Mm-hmm. A new person isn't going to resolve it.
And I'm going to add to that, and I realize this kind of takes us a tiny bit off topic, so I'm going to add this and then bring us back.
Always part of my story, so not really.
Right. So, well, there you go. See? So, I just see the rabbit hole we could go down really quickly and easily because I know us.
We have a time limit today. It's fine.
Right? Oftentimes people will say, oh, but no, he's nothing like, or she's nothing like my last girlfriend. And on the surface, it looks like no, that the pendulum swung to the other end and they're complete opposite. But the underlying BS that you haven't, that lesson that you didn't learn so that you get the BS part of that person, the BS part is the part that's the same. And yes, sometimes it is 3 years later that you realize that. But
I have a beautiful example of that. One of my favorite things to do is give my power away and then get mad at the person I gave it to for how they're using it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, here, make financial decisions in our relationship. No, don't make them like that.
You just did it wrong. The hell?
So my first husband was most of my large, glaring pain points. He was abandonment, neglect, rejection, infidelity, all the things. Narcissism, the full gamut. And 14 and a half years and I was out. My next relationship, nothing like my ex-husband. Really in any way. My current relationship, nothing like my ex-husband in any way. And yet, I looked at my enjoyable other recently and I went, I have been handing my power to you in this entire time. And then I have looked at you and been like, you're such an asshole. Yes, I can adore him and still occasionally think, you're such an asshole. But it was me. Like, I am the common denominator in the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh. I did it with my ex-husband. And I knew he was, like, unreliable and untrustworthy, and I still did it. And it's not that my enjoyable other is unreliable or untrustworthy. He's interesting, but he's not unreliable or untrustworthy. It's just that I'm like, here, make this decision for us. And then I'm like, no, don't make that decision like that. Dude, just hang on to your power. Here's the solution here. So, yes. 3 completely different humans, 3 completely different personalities, 3 completely different dispositions. They all treated me differently.
Mm-hmm.
And yet,
mm-hmm.
I gave my power away. I didn't like the way they used it. Times 3. So now's a good time for me to stop doing that.
Perfect. I can get behind that and support that and stand in the space of that. That is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So it sounds like that is a big piece of life mastery for you in your lifetime. But how do you, since that's so much about what we talk about here on Rain Radio, how do you define life mastery?
I use Maya Angelou's definition of success, which is liking who you are, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. And I would make it deeper than that and not say liking, but embodying and loving who you are. And it doesn't mean that you don't notice the parts of yourself that you would like to grow, change, and improve or be different. And it doesn't mean that you use that as an excuse to be an asshole in the world. But it does mean that I am fully aware that I can have passive-aggressive communication a lot. And I love myself. And I'm working on that because I don't like the results of that. I am aware that I'm somebody who gets creeped out by earthworms, and I'm okay with that, and I have no interest in changing it. So, yeah. It's the fullness of who I am. And I think that's actually new for me. I think.
What do you think changed or brought that about, if that's a new piece? What was the deal?
I stopped throwing my power at people and expecting them to use it the way I wanted them to. I feel like that's the biggest.
Pretty pivotal point.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest change that I've noticed.
And what a great learning.
Right?
That may have to be a whole nother episode. I know we've talked about your personal power and where do you give it away and that kind of thing. That it may have to be another call, because I think that is I think there's big ways we do it, and I think there's subtle ways that we can do it. So I think that we may have to just tuck that little feather in there and remind ourselves that may be another upcoming call. What is one skill that you'd say is imperative to master in order to master this thing called life?
The first thing that came up for me is self-reflection. Being able to look at yourself, look at your thoughts, look at your emotions, look at your patterns,
And that makes sense, because if we can't look within, if we're always looking on the outside, we're looking for something to fix or change from the outside in, instead of it having to be that inner journey.
Or we're blaming, or we're completely unconscious. I have no idea why. My mom had no idea why dudes kept cheating on her, or lying to her, or misleading her. So if we don't look inside, we never get clear about what the patterning is. It doesn't always look the way we think it does either, and it's not always on the surface or easily accessible. My ex-husband lied to me about stupid shit for 14 and a half years. And it was 3 months, 2 months after we separated, that I got to the root of why I was attracting that. I was not a liar. So I wasn't attracting myself in that instance, but I had a buried belief that I was not aware of for 20-something years, that men lie. So he couldn't tell me the truth if he wanted to, because I wasn't available for honest men, because I was operating under the belief that men lie. So if we're not looking in there and seeing, if I hadn't been looking around in my inner world, I would have never been crystal clear that I was giving away my power. I would just blame my lovers for not being how I wanted them to be.
And for people who are uncertain how to go about that, to look in their inner world, to be able to get to the heart of that, because it could be easy to look inside and be like, no, ain't nothing wrong with me. It's them because they're the liars, right? And not to say that that it was that you were wrong for carrying that belief, but it was that belief that had you attracting things that you're like, I really don't want this.
Right.
So, but it's not always easy to do, to look inside. It's like, yeah, I ain't got nothing there. I don't know.
Well, like I said, it took me 14 and a half years.
Right. So for the people who might be sitting in that space,
if you don't want it to take you 14 and a half years, Naomi and I are here for you.
Right, there's that.
I mean, genuinely, sometimes we need an outside perspective. I have been told that I have a gift in my ability to look at my own thoughts and patterns and go, oh, that's this, and then rewire that for myself. I was told by one of my healers that most healers don't do that for themselves. I don't know how true that is.
I would say not to the degree that I've seen you do it. I would say that is a true statement.
Okay.
That's been my experience of you. Not to the degree. We might all be able to journal the heck out of shit. We might be able to process ourselves. We might EFT ourselves, out of something. We might be able to see certain patterns, but not to the level and to the degree that I have seen you accomplish that. I would agree.
Thank you. I mean, so, you can journal. You can use emotional freedom technique. Use whatever tools you have, but sometimes Access has a saying that you get it when you get it.
Yeah.
So I am a fan of journaling because I am a writer. My grandmother said I entered the planet with paper and pen in hand. And if I were to go to a deserted island and I got to take 3 things, paper and pen would be 2 of them, or pencil or what. I need something to write with and something to write on, or I will write in the sand. So I am a journaler. But
What's
if
the third
journaling
thing?
not your lavender essential oil?
Is that a
Good
question
for
or a
everything.
statement?
It's good for everything. Yeah, probably lavender.
Okay, because you said 2 and then you said, or 3 things. So I wanted to know what the third thing was.
Lavender.
So don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me with that open loop. Excellent. So, journaling is a tool. It is a way that you've used to explore the inner workings of Lila.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, if they hate journaling, there are other tools, right? And
There's
other than
audio journaling
here,
too, if you're a talker.
yeah, or if you learn by auditory but not by reading, and you don't want to have to read what you wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Voice recorder apps are a thing for sure. Obviously, people can find you here. Before I ask the final question that I'm going to end it with, where else can they find you?
Right now on Facebook, because my website does not exist yet anymore.
So you can find us on Heart Over Ego Radio on Facebook. You can also find Lila where on Facebook?
Facebook.com/Life with Lila, and Lila is spelled Lila.
Excellent. So, would love to wrap it up with one question.
Mm-hmm.
I know that here at Rain Radio, we like to say, fuck the social constructs.
Oh, gosh.
So as you're beginning to expand your business, what societal norm did you have to ignore to create the business that you have and to create life on your terms?
Naomi knows how to short circuit my brain. What societal norm did I have to ignore? Probably the classic, go to college, get a degree, get a 9-to-5. That's the first thing that came to mind in terms of creating my business. Creating my life? Well, all of them. I'm a brown-skinned woman in America, and I'm not Christian, and I haven't been for almost 20 years. My mom sputtered, which amused me. I don't really eat soul food, and I grew up in the South. Greens? Is it kale? I parent my children very differently than most people parent their children. There are lots of ways that I do that, but I think I think my favorite description of how it's different is my boyfriend said, like, your house is a democracy, and I'm not used to parenting like that. And I'm just like, well, I'm raising humans. I'm not raising cookie cutters. I would like my children to think for themselves and make decisions and know that their voice matters. And, I mean, some things are non-negotiable. You will not draw on my walls with crayons. Some things are negotiable. At this point in your life, you should know how much sleep you need. I have taught you how to negotiate that for yourself. So if you want to stay up past your bedtime, when I wake you up in the morning, if you are a cranky nightmare, we will have a tough morning. Choose wisely. I'm going to bed. So I I opted out of a 9-to-5, and sometimes that meant couch surfing with kiddos. Not fun. But it was more important that I be accessible to them and that they not be raised in daycare than the alternative. And the only alternative I knew at the time was sharing space with others. So I did that until that was no longer a thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's such a beautiful reminder that just because society says life should look like X, it doesn't have to. You get to choose. You get to create life on your terms, which is what we're all about here at Rain Radio. It's about life mastery. It's about you, dear listeners, really being able to step fully into your power and be who you are in every situation, no matter what society says, no matter what family says, no matter what's coming at you that says the opposite. You get to choose your life on your terms. Awesome. Lila, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add before we sign off? Thank you for being our first interviewee.
Thank you for interviewing me. That was fun. She asked none of the questions maybe one of the questions that we had set. So this was really fun. In case you guys think we scripted this, we did not. So all of the sputtering is legit.
Right? Until next time.
No. Yes.
I was just going to say, have a fabulous day, and if you do need to reach out, make sure you go find Lila on Facebook, Life with Lila. But yes, is there anything you want to say and add as we sign off?
I don't. Thank you. This was fun. I'm excited about next week.
Perfect.
When I get to interview you.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.